So the last video I did on this topic was probably the most commented video I've made. So you guys gave me so many suggestions. I found so many other great YouTubers. I had to make another one. So let's dive into this. Hey fellow Game Masters, I'm Richard Quiner and welcome back to the RPG Daily, your daily dose of all things tabletop role-playing games, helping you build your world and master your game. Today we're talking about more tabletop role-playing game YouTubers and their contributions to the community and what you can expect from going to those channels. Again, similar to my last one, let me know if there's any that you think deserve to be on a list like this. Maybe I'll make a third. Why not? There's plenty of us out here doing this work. Before I dive into the real ones that I wanted to talk about, I'm just going to touch on a couple that got mentioned in the last video, and I feel like I'm not making videos on these guys because everyone knows who they are. They're very popular in the community. Their videos have helped numerous people, countless people run their own games, including myself when I was getting started, and this kind of thing. I have the utmost respect for them, but I won't be adding them on these lists because they're just so big and popular already. Everyone knows about it. The first one is How to Be a Great GM. Guy Scandler. I can't pronounce his last. Scandler. I don't know how his last name is pronounced. He makes some great videos full of information, very analytical, works really well with my way of thinking, which is why I went to him and found his channel, and just the way he breaks things down just makes a lot of sense. That's all I'm going to say on him. And the other one, of course, is Matt Colville, one of the millions of Matts in the tabletop gaming space that makes content of some sort. His stuff is really good. It's very informative. He's pivoted in the last couple of years to do more of his games, his dungeon mastering, and his game recaps. Not so much. I haven't seen so much of the really informative stuff that I liked originally, but still, he's very well respected. He's written several books. He knows his stuff. That's the other one. Those are just like honorable mentions, but now we're going to get into the actual list. These are 5 smaller YouTubers, well, smaller than Colville and How to Be a Great GM, but they bring a lot to the table, and that's why I think they could use some recognition. First up is Seth Skorkowsky, and he kind of reminds me a lot of Matt Colville, just the way his videos are. He's very simple, kind of like this, just sitting at a table talking. I'm not at a table. I'm sitting in front of a table, but also talking. He does similar things, but he touches on other aspects that I don't really touch on. On occasion I do, but not too much. He has a whole series on the philosophy of tabletop role-playing games, which I really find interesting, talking about good players, bad players, the kind of the thinking and the thought process behind these games and how they might work better. I thought that was really interesting, and I would like to touch on those subjects in my videos, but I'm kind of on a roll with the rules and breaking down these classes. I'm enjoying this kind of content at the moment. He also has on his channel a whole bunch of game master tips and tricks and information, as well as product reviews. You'll find, though, looking at it, he does a lot more with Call of Cthulhu, which is a tabletop role-playing game that is on my bucket list of games to try. I've kind of been sucked into this Dungeons & Dragons wormhole, and I have to claw my way out to find people to play these other games with. But I will someday survive, I hope, and get to try something else. But if you want information on Call of Cthulhu, Seth is your man, and if you want philosophy videos or some more in-depth conversation, he's got a lot of great content. So that's Seth Skorkowsky. Next up is Dead Aussie Gamer, and he reminded me of an Australian taking 20. He shoots in front of a green screen, he replaces the background similar to Taking 20 does, but he does similar videos, just a lot of tabletop role-playing games. I believe he does a lot more with Starfinder and Pathfinder information rather than Dungeons & Dragons as well. But he, kind of like mine, he's a small creator. I think at the time I wrote this, he had less than 1,000 subscribers. So if you like his content, go check him out, give him a subscribe. He's pretty decent. I would also say he has a series about 7 deadly sins for game masters that I found really interesting, and it covers some pretty serious topics that game masters should know about and understand when approaching games. So go give that a check out. Also, you can find what you're doing wrong and how to fix it. If you're doing it wrong, you can find out how to fix it, which I think is great. I feel like that's a series I'm going to go back and check up on multiple times, probably, because it's just good information. Next up is similar to Puffin Forest. In my last video, there's a channel named Dingo Doodles who is a animation storytime channel based on tabletop role-playing games. And I think they've done such a good job capturing kind of the weird moments and the nuances that happens at a game table. And along with their writing is really good. They hit the comedy spots at just the right moments, which tells me their editing is really good. Their animation is really decent. I really like it. It's similar to Puffin Forest and very cartoonic in nature, but less colorful. At least in the ones I've watched were less colorful. I had to kind of pull myself away to finish writing and outlining this video because I was watching them all. They told a story essentially about how they accidentally freed a Tarask from under a city, which ended up destroying the world, and it was like session 1 or something. It was just very early in the game, and they weren't supposed to be doing that, but they did on accident. But they tell these kind of stories of how things can go horribly wrong at a game table, which I find entertaining because that always happens, right? So that's Dingo Doodles. Give her a look. She's makes some great stuff. Continuing with animation, we have another channel called Bashu, who does smaller form animations that are really a little more polished than some of the storytime animators do. They actually do kind of the mouth movements, and they make things really well animated, which means it takes a long time for these videos to come out. But he has a series called The Animated Spellbook where he explains the spells in Dungeons & Dragons through animation. He has kind of this weird Bashuniverse, you could call it. He has a world inside his videos that he makes as he's explaining these concepts that is also telling a story or having, filling in some lore, which I thought was really funny. Because of the nature of his content, I see it takes a long time, and he doesn't have a huge extensive library. Like my content, I can crank these out pretty good. That's why I can do this every day. He can't do a video like he does every day. It's just not possible. But I can see as he fills out content, I can see his videos becoming a staple of players at a game to be like, oh, how does this spell work? I don't want to read it. I'm just going to watch Bashu's video here real quick, and you're good to go. So I think that's a really clever way to do it, and I enjoy that. And the last channel is one that I've been watching for a very long time. I got into him doing cartography videos, and it's called WASD20. And also I'm a computer gamer, so I like the WASD throw in there. I thought that name is really clever, so kudos to that. I found him, like I said, from map making. He did a lot of weird ideas and cool ideas of how to make world maps using, like he did one with dice, he did one with beans, I think, and he laid them on a piece of paper and then outlined them, and that became his world as he developed. He did a lot of videos on tutorials on drawing mountains and trees and things like that, which was really, really useful. I think handy. I was watching those before I decided to go to computers, because I'm just not good enough with a piece of paper. But the other side of his channel, aside from the maps, is I think he's the one who reads the adventure modules that are published the fastest. I don't think anyone comes out with a review on an adventure module so close to the actual release day that he does. Of course, he could have preview copies. His channel is big enough to get those kind of things, so he might have a little leg up on that. But early on, before I started getting all the adventures myself and reading them for myself, he would be the one I go to decide what to buy, what are the most interesting adventures. I would go watch his reviews on them and find out what's good and what's not good, or what's less good, I should say. He also does a lot of product reviews, so if you're looking for a unique product in the tabletop gaming space, he probably has a video about it. He gets a lot of stuff to review, and he does a pretty good job reviewing things and keeping a kind of a neutral opinion. He doesn't pander to his sponsors for those reviews. So I like that about his channel. So go check out also WASD20. That has been my 5 new top YouTubers for tabletop role-playing game information. I hope you enjoyed this video. Like I said, leave a comment below. Let me know who you like to watch. There were so many in the other ones. It was really hard to pare this down. If I wanted to do a full video of all the comments I get, it would be a really, really long video, and I can't talk that long in one sitting. I've been Richard. Thanks for watching.